All right, let's move a little bit further down the table, though, because York United are a team I think we have to talk about right now. They beat Valor 3-2 on Sunday at home. They're unbeaten in 4 CPL matches. Several times in the last month, we've seen them fall behind or find themselves in a losing position. They did it at Pacific against Ottawa midweek in the Can Champ, and here against Valor, they fall behind, find a way back into the game, bring themselves on level footing, and this time again they go up 3-1, win it 3-2. I don't know if we can bring the CPL table back up again just to get a full look at where things are. So York in fifth, they've been in fifth for a really long time. 4 points behind Cavalry and 6 points behind Halifax still. And again, still, what is that? Math that for me. 6 points ahead of Pacific, right? It doesn't feel like they're in a much different spot, but momentum-wise, Mitch, do we think it's more likely that York United can crack the top 4 or more likely that Pacific can catch them and York can miss the playoffs?
Oh, that's an interesting hypothetical. I really think that, especially based on what we've seen recently and throughout the season, and again, I'll put the factor to goals, which is such an
Mhm.
important. It's just such an important thing within this game, but within this league specifically. I think York's more likely to crack into that top 4. And again, it comes down to just having a go-to man. Julian Altobelli has been automatic this season, and you look at some of the other strikers where they score in bunches. Altobelli scores like 1 goal every game consistently. You can count on that 1 goal. And it's the same with his York team. I think they've been held scoreless once, and that was by Atletico Ottawa, the top
Yeah.
team in the league, in that super hot 0-0
Yeah,
game.
and an anomalous match that like
Yeah.
barely even tells us anything about either team.
Yeah, Mother Nature held them scoreless in a game earlier
For
this
real.
season. Otherwise,
For
they've
real.
been pretty consistently scoring, and I think they're only getting better in that aspect. I mean, we've seen what Adonijah Reed's putting together over the recent games, what kind of a game changer he can be. Kembo Cabato is a player who's really stepped up this season, and especially recently, and is been one of the best midfielders in the Canadian Premier League over the past few weeks. So I think they're really starting to find a style and find those consistent players. And when you can score like they can, like you said, they can come back in games now. They can get ahead in games, and they're always going to be in games just because they can find the back of the net so consistently. So I like what this York team's doing right now. And if there's anyone to break that top 4, it's them. And again, I think the fact they've been in that fifth spot and kind of maintained that margin they've had on the teams below them throughout the season. There's been that consistency there from them throughout this year.
Kibato and Yates have been so good together in the last few weeks, and it's almost been a little surprising for me. I think earlier in the season we talked a little bit about how we actually weren't sure if that was working in midfield for York. We kind of thought that they were maybe a little bit too similar profiles, and York needed somebody a little bit more creative in there. Certainly, I think we've wondered why maybe a Gabby Batar isn't getting a few more of those minutes in midfield. Um, or even, I mean, Elijah Atakubi when he stepped back into center back. Uh, but I mean, I certainly was wrong. This is working really, really well. Uh, and Mario Stacchio has explained it a few times in the last couple of weeks. This is starting to look a lot more like the York United that he wants, that he envisioned. We've seen the way that they're scoring goals with these transitional moments, and it's so often, Kibato or Yates or both rampaging through midfield, passing forward every time. That there's kind of an instinct that's been drilled into this York team that when you get the ball, your first priority is to move the ball forward towards the goal, right? And that's just making them so exciting to watch. You look at, I think all the goals they scored against Ottawa in the Can Champ. You look at the way that they scored in this, on Sunday against Valor. It's just this forward motion, this aggression to, earlier in the season, they were maybe playing at a bit of a slower tempo. They were trying to break teams down more methodically. And that is harder to do, certainly. And Eustachio has said that, if he'd like to get to a place one day where they are more consistently the possession team and they just break teams down and they smother you like that. But he said something that really interested me, and that was that they're learning to understand opportunities and understand moments. So these players are intelligent and they understand when it's a game like against Valor where there's gaps in midfield and players like Massimo Ferrer and Adonijah Reed can make those runs, stay on time their runs well and get behind the defense. That's where the opportunities are for York. And it's really impressive that they're really understanding each other a little bit better than ever. And they're really playing these just this thrilling football. Um, it was on the whole a good weekend for York. Things went pretty well for them results wise, but it was an important test of character on Sunday. With when Pacific beats Halifax the day before, that can go one of two ways. If York lose against Valor, suddenly Pacific's right behind them, right?
Yeah.
But Halifax are right ahead of them. Cavalry dropped points right after York's game, so that was kind of a turning point for them where they had the almost a choice to go up or down. They chose up, which is why genuinely I do think that it's really tough to see any of those top four falling, but I would not be surprised if we do see York kind of crack up there and at least have a point at some time in the next couple of months where they are a lot closer to that group than they are to the bottom.